by asking you guys for if there are things that came up for you, either specific pain points from like actually like this moment in code, like this is hard to achieve, or things that you're like, this illuminated to me like props to state, I don't know, like how to do that. What were things that came up for you?
We got the rendering, but it was real nasty.
It's huge.
It was so manual.
Everybody has this issue. Every mod, every single one.
Yeah, as long as you import it and you like the method and
Did anybody move that whole folder into public? Yeah, we're gonna move the whole, we're gonna move it. And so this is like probably one of my favorite things about Hogwarts, is just to be like, most people, when I'm like, you could have just moved that whole image thing, and then you still have to figure out making the right string, but then you can just have a string as your source because it looks into public. Or like, I didn't know that I could do that. Including on code challenges, as long as you get the features done, like you're the dev. There's not a lot that you're gonna think to do that I'm gonna be like, no, you can't move that folder. Sure, move the folder. Guess what? That's not like a core concept that we're teaching you here. Like whether the source images are in, or the images are in source versus public. Doesn't matter. You're the dev. So for the most part, like, do what you need to do.
But what does that do?
Instead of having to, like, at the top import the images because you're inside of source, when you have your image tag and you give it the source property, you can just set it to a string that is the relative path inside of public. You'll see when we do this. Other things, that was only one, sorry.
Still have problems with the metal showing.
With who?
Metal.
Showing the highest medal achieved. We will also show that. Anything else? What else? I feel like there had to be more sticking points.
There weren't IDs for Higgies. So, like, because we didn't want to assign it by index.
Mhm.
But, like, should we?
That, like, high level, anything unique is fine. You could use names. In real life, everything basically is coming from a database and will have a unique ID, so you can use that. This is one example where, like, it would have been better if they gave you guys IDs, but you can use anything unique for the keys. What else?
I'm too embarrassed to say how it functions. No, don't write it down though. It was just, don't write it down.
No, Sean Tarzan.
But it was,
Okay, so seriously, like, please don't be embarrassed if there's some stuff that you're like, yikes, like I don't know how to use that well enough yet. Like,
well, I
being humble and being able to own that is going to take you really far away.
We
said
spent
it.
an hour.
I said it. I just
I
don't want to waste
know.
other people's
We spent an
time.
hour on
That's
it.
all I'm saying.
But then we can now like incorporate it. So if there's a place where you're like, but why, like parentheses for curlies or whatever, like throw that in there.
Yeah.
Utter respect. Go. Voices. Pause. Talking across room. Could we get one voice? One mic. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be full high school teacher with you guys. One mic, please. Go.
What components can do what when you're stretching more than one you should?
Like when you should make a new component.
Just organizing the flow. Should we go like 2 levels deep? Should one component as a child component?
In terms of state
Like,
or
we decided to do the filtering in the bar, but initially we thought about making buttons with some of the file.
Okay, we can talk about it. So some of these are also like there's not really a hard and fast rule because it's JavaScript and you can do it a bunch of ways. It's more about like what are the principles of your design and being
Yeah, but
consistent.
what would be more efficient and easier for us to do?
We'll look at it. You got one more?
Yeah, like what circumstances where it seems like when if you're finding yourself keeping the same you're keeping the same value in state at 2 levels, like something seems wrong. But
What did you have for that?
well, it was actually from something yesterday,
Oh.
but it was.
What was yesterday's example anyway? 'Cause maybe we can replicate it
was
here.
It's the animal shelter, and there was like a button, but it was like a layer down. So if you change state on the app, by the time it propagated to the component,
To an individual animal?
yeah, it had like already re-rendered, and then it wasn't updating the button display.
Cool.
We can figure out how to look.
If anything, if we can't find a way to map that clearly here, then we'll do it
Okay.
after. Sweet. Any last comments before we jump in? Sweet. Okay, so then at the end, I just want us to also like prepping, do some reflections, like what is clear, what is still unclear, takeaways. All right, so let's look at this baby. No, it's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Okay, so no, wrong, read me. This always happens. Eso. Okay, so we want to create an index of all hog tiles, render hog name and picture in that tile, show details upon a user's click. I'm just going to start there. Like, not worry about the other ones yet. You can go away, you can go away. Okay, cool. So, actually, can I be done? Where do I start? Can I be blind driver? Where do I start?
For all the hogs.
Okay.
Hogs.
You can actually just do the one hogs here, and it will use that as the key and then take the data that's inside of it. Got it right there.
We call
Yeah.
it piggies.
What is it? Key value assignment shortcut is what that is called. Yeah, that's what that's called. Okay, so now it's in state. Cool. Now what?
So each hog will have its own card, so you can.
Does that already exist?
No.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so let's go start that component then. ls cd hogwarts source ls cool touch hogcard.js. Ah, crud. Sweet. Okay, import React from React. And so I'm gonna make this a function first, because why not? A little bit quicker that way, and I'm automatically gonna export default hog card. This is all super normal, and it's gonna need to return, and I'm gonna pop an immediate div there. What needs to go in here? Initially it was what, the name and the image?
Yeah.
Is it div the same, a card the same thing as a tile? Right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Do they call it
a
tile?
I don't know, I'm just curious.
There, this one. Yep. Yeah, so we'll call it card. We could have called it tile. Same effect. An individual div hog thing. I'm also going to class name these.
It's pig, what is it?
Big tile.
Pig.
Semantic library. Oh, wait.
It's in CSS.
Oh, there's a separate CSS. There is. I also, this is one thing about this that annoys me, is that they give you some instructions about the CSS and then they give you different CSS in here, which is just silly. All right, so class name pig tile. So I'm missing some props here. I'm gonna say props.name. And then image source equals for now. Alt pig. Salud. Okay, so now we have a hog card that exists. So now an app, you were starting me off. We can also switch. Somebody help me navigate. What am I doing? Yeah, you can just talk. Just try not to talk over each other. Tarzan saw first.
Yeah, we add the hog card component here.
Oh, we add the hog card component here?
Creating it from the app.
Like that?
Yeah, and if we make some space, we, actually, before return, we need to create an array of pigs. So let's
So I already have an array of pigs someplace right now.
yeah, you have that in the state.
I have it in state.
So let's do it's state hogs. But I would just put it into a variable, like let's display pigs be that, and then display pigs and map, do the destructuring that we did.
And then what?
Yeah.
So now this is a copy of our state hogs. And now what?
I do display pigs, .map. I'm trying not to look here.
Good.
And we're gonna get, actually only pig name. Pig and pig name.
And pass that into hog card.
Yeah.
So when we map over this array of objects, we want it to return hog cards, actual components there. But we need to pass in the props that we're expecting. So pig.name presumably. Want to know what I haven't looked at? Was it hogs.js? Porkers data. Okay, so we got name, specialty, greased, weight, highest metal achieved, that whole long string. What I might actually do is, at some point we're gonna need all of the info down there to display, so I'm gonna destructure pig. And this will take every key that's on our pig object and turn it into a prop and pass it into our home card.
Oh my god.
Wait, what?
Destructuring props. Just gonna leave this little note here.
So you don't even need to worry about
So you don't need to, like, on line 22, you don't need to write down that the name is a name and specialty is a specialty.
Well, this is not entirely correct. So this is making a single hog card that's getting no information. So a couple changes that I would make to this right now is one is that we need to map over this .state.hogs to get a new array of hog card components. We don't really need to make a copy of it because mapping isn't going to modify it. So I can directly say this.state.hogs.map and set my new array of hog card components to displayed pigs. So now displayed pigs is an array of hog card components. And then I can render displayed pigs here in curly brackets. I do really appreciate that you guys pulled this up instead of doing it here. But now the thing is, can we actually make sure that this works though? Because it could not. Y'all trust me so much, it's so beautiful. Hey!
So display pigs is the, are the tiles, right?
Awesome.
Because you're shooting it into the.
So in displayed pigs
Right.
are a whole bunch of hog cards.
Oh.
It's just an array of them. And so when you pop an array like that into a render method, it just understands like they're all siblings, put them all together.
Wow.
Shoot.
Can you change the name on the art so that you type?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
There's a special class.
Oh yeah, if there's things that I just like don't remember about the styling, please let me know. Oh yes, it's so much better.
This is so efficient, it's so insane.
Plus.
It's like we go to the JavaScript.
Literally, just like React is particularly magical when your data skills are on fire. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna pull this down. Sweet question.
Are you recording this?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We have instructors that say they were, but they forgot.
I mean,
So that's why I said yesterday too.
one week I felt really bad. My computer like completely kicked me out, and I took it to WeWork to figure out what was going on. They fixed it, but they somehow changed my settings so it wasn't recording. So my first 2 lectures had no audio. Felt awful. But so that's why like when I started, I'm like, hey, and like watch it. Ooh, sorry. When you guys watch this video later. Yikes. Sorry. Okay. So now we've got the name, but we don't have the image. So we're not dealing with this being in source. If you were gonna do it in source, you would essentially have to import image name from /hog images / like whatever. We ain't gonna do that. Like the point of public is for your assets, like images. And this is something like in a code challenge, if you're like, doing it this way is annoying to me, and you went, you're fine. Now though, the thing is still that we have the images, but we've got to get to them. Like the Porkers data doesn't include the name of the image. So how do we get from the information that we have here, or let's say, where's Augustus Gloop? I also kind of hate some of these names. How do we get from this information to be able to get to his name?
Why does it say that there's one problem? Shut up. Bush.
Where?
On problems on the bottom, it says one.
That's for CSS.
Yeah, it's a CSS thing. I don't know, I'm not dealing with it right now. I'm leaving it. So yeah, how do we get from this object to figure out how to get to that image? You've already talked, so you have too, but I think you more recently. And can I get some good voices?
Yeah. Okay, so if you right click on that file.
Porkers data?
Sorry, if you where AugustusGloop.jpg is,
Uh-huh.
and that'll tell us the relative path. And then
You're sneaky.
You just hard code.
Whoa. You just hard-coded all of them? What if I add more pigs, though?
I mean, we had a time pressure. We needed to make it work.
Okay, I'm gonna make an observation with you guys. I'm gonna make
I
an
don't
op-
have to the whole thing. It's relative. I'm just saying it's relative to where index is.
That is true.
I just wasn't there yet.
So, I want to make an observation about these names and the names of the files. The names of the pigs are the same as the names of the files, except all lowercase and underscores instead of spaces and a .jpg. So we write a function that takes a name and gives us the name of the file.
Well, it wasn't the issue that we didn't know how to import like a regex function that was place.
Part of the issue with that is if you kept hog images inside of source.
Yeah.
Because then you can't do just like source equals.
Yeah, we did an import, got a bunch of promises back, like, yeah, that was interesting.
We use the dot split and a dot join.
Yep, so you'll dot split and dot join. So I'll move this over here. So if you were going to keep it inside of source folder, you're gonna have to do all of these imports. I think that's highly annoying. One by one. Yes,
There's actually a function I saw that you didn't have to do it.
one by
It
one.
would import everything.
That's gorgeous and good use of the internet. And again, like Google is fair game. So if they did have some stuff like this and it was taking you too long and you found some Google thing that lets you do it all in one shot, I'd be like, that totally came from Stack Overflow, but like props. Understand how it's working. Please never copy something from Stack Overflow and then bring it to me and be like, it works. And if I'm like, but how? And you'd be like, I don't know. Don't do it. You can start with being like, it worked and I don't know, but then figure it out. Like, why does it work? Could you reproduce it yourself? Okay, so we're gonna write a secondary function image helper. Oh, why am I doing that as function? Const image helper equals, it's gonna take a name and it's going to return to me, oh boy, was it name dot split? No, name dot to lowercase dot split on the space dot join on an underscore. Yeah? Yeah? Maybe? I'm also going a little bit faster through this because I'm like, yeah, this isn't entirely the point of this lab. It's
You
a,
have to add thing to it too.
oh, thank you. Right? Yeah. What up, piggy pig pigs?
Wait, can you go over that again quickly?
Yes.
Like have you use the path to start?
So once it's once the folder is inside of your public folder, then anytime you need to source it, like in images, you can just use the relative path.
Right.
So within public. So once I moved them there, then what I did was I made myself a helper function that would take each name, would get that relative path of hog images, do some logic to the name to lowercase it, remove the spaces, and add the underscores, and add
So once you
the
just
file
move it to
extension.
public, you don't even need to import it or anything, you just use the relative path.
Because then when you use this source, it knows to look inside of public using the path that you give it.
Yeah, that would,
But this is one of the reasons that I love this lab is to be like, you can make that decision. Move the folder. It's fine. There's a lot of hesitancy if, like, in a lot of these to be like, can I just like move stuff? Yeah, you can. You're the dev. Do what you need to do.
How does it know to, so in public, and it sees the hog image in the image helper function?
So I can, for each of these, console.log image helper props.name. So we can actually look at what it's getting. So I'm just console logging what this returns. So whenever you have something like an image where it has some source, it looks for this path, for this file inside of your public folder.
So it's not relative. It's just the path.
It's a path inside of public. Yeah, I mean, it's not a complete path because it's not going to the highest level of your application, but
It would be relative to the index file that the app is rendering to. Like the index, the HTML file name.
yes, yeah.
Why can't you relative path to get to the file when if you don't move it?
But if it's in source,
Yeah.
that's not where it looks. That's just like point blank. It's not really worth it's not the scope of this lecture right now, and I don't want to go in too much of a rabbit hole because we haven't actually got to like the body of the behavior that you need to know for Wednesday. But like when it's looking for those paths, it looks in public. Like that's just law.
It's in the packet.
But I should be able to.
It looks in public.
Right.
Say?
I mean, I should be able to relative paths, I should be able to move anyway, right?
I'm gonna let you research that underneath the hood because it's not the scope of this. And I want to get us back on track for getting through the essential bits for React. Okay, so you go away, you go away, you go away, you. We've done this, we've done this. Now I've got to be able to show its details on a user click. Where do we want to start? I mean, somewhere in here, but what should I start typing? What?
Details on user.
Details on a user click. That's what we're working on now.
And then it renders the details.
So you have to create a click handler.
On what? The whole tile? Okay. What'll this do?
Click it will add some more members.
So it'll add some additional info down here?
Well, it will also remove those renders. But it'd be, what is it? Wait.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start a div here and give this a class name of hog details. And then start plugging in. It's not all going to be H3s, maybe they'll be divs now. Weight, specialty, speciality?
No, sorry. Sorry.
I said it right, but I spelled it wrong.
Please,
Data.
false.
Greased, cool, weight, and highest metal achieved. How do we do highest metal achieved? It's not one word.
String.
But without that.
You right. Okay, so right now it's just gonna show up for everybody. Cool, making friends, silver. My grease thing isn't showing up.
So it's true or false.
So you have to do a
Condition.
Yeah.
Yay!
So why doesn't that just render like true or false?
Yes.
Like I get why I have to do the ternary and muted as well, but like,
I know, that's what I was saying. You turn it.
Let's see, is there still secretly a div there? Yeah, it's just an empty div. It just won't translate it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a string.
Because it's not really a string. So it doesn't like coerce it to the string of true.
It's probably undefined, and that's why.
It just effectively turns it to undefined. It still makes the div there, it just doesn't put anything inside of it. Okay, doke. So now we've got all of this data, but I don't want all of that shown all of the time. I only want it shown sometimes. So there's something now that I've got to track, is whether or not I should be seeing details or not. If I want to track something, what should we think? Stay. I like the dance. All right, so I'm going to turn this into a class component so that I can actually use state. This will always be the problem. Like this is literally always my process. Is I change this top line, I write myself a render, I collect all of that, I just move it right up. And then anytime I see props, needs to become this dot props. And now in theory, ¿cómo?
No.
Didn't break it. Sweet. Okay. So now I think state. I'm gonna set view details, that's what I'm gonna call it, initially to false. And then I conditionally render some stuff. View details, double and, so only when view detail, whoa, that's wrong.
Yeah, this is
What am I missing?
you're
This dot state dot. View details, just like a variable, does not exist. This dot state dot view details does exist. And then my double and, so this is only rendered when this dot state dot view details is true.
And that was your like syntactical, I don't say shortcut.
Sugar.
When you're trying to like do this or not, right?
Yeah, so I could also write this with a ternary, double and, colon, no. Yep, this is equivalent to the last one.
I was trying to figure out how to do that. I was like losing myself in the whole thing.
Yep.
We did that.
We did it wrong.
I
did it wrong.
Hey, we, inclusive, call people in, not out. Shoot.
So, why did you put no? Did you change that?
Why I put null here in the ternary? So in the ternary, this is now saying that when view details is true, show all of this. When view details is false, I don't want to show anything, but in a ternary, you have to have a falsy case. So I put null there to say essentially don't show anything, but you have to put something there.
Right, I guess it's just weird because usually like, I mean, I'm new to ternary, so a lot of it looks like one liners. This is like, I guess, a big term.
Yeah, we have like parentheses everywhere and like.
I mean, the way that I like realistically would clean this up to maybe make it easier for you to see is just like this.
So, but do you have it now that when you click it, it turns to true?
No, I haven't handled any click
Yeah, no.
behavior.
It's just not changing the state.
So really what we should see right now, if I go back to the web page, is now that state view details is false, I should no longer see any of the details. So we can check that actually before we make the on-click. Cool. No details.
Which one's important?
Yes, okay. Okay, so also my preference, like I could write this in line. I'm pretty much always gonna make a method just to keep the render clean. So let's say like, I'm just gonna call it handle click. What should this method do?
Change the state.
Do? Bang. Cool. So do I need this E here at all? Cool. And then I change this to this dot handle click. And now, if I wrote this correctly, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-da, da-da-na-na, na-na-na-na-na-na. What? Why are you so mean to me? Now, the thing that I am recognizing is also the key thing is still there, and I despise the key thing, so I'm gonna go fix that right quick, and then we can continue. But I need to stop seeing that red. It makes me mad. Pig.name. Because you can, like typically IDs, but you can. It just needs to be unique. Which Alex? So many which Alex questions. Also, now I'm just being particular, but be particular. Like make the user experience better. Greased, not greased is fine. Highest honor. I like highest honor. Okay.
Being big.
Oh, shady. Too soon. I'm sometimes mostly vegan, but that has so much bacon the other weekend. Okay, so we're done with the top three. Whoop, whoop. Now we get to filter, sort, and the second sort. One thing folks are always asking me is like, so do I have to be able to sort both at the same time? Does it say that? No. Does that sound harder? Yes. Don't do it that way. Sort by name or alphabetically. Don't try to do both if it doesn't tell you to, and it's harder that way. Because I would immediately be like, so do I sort by name and then weight inside of name, or by weight and then name inside of that? There's a lot of options. This is complicated. Yeah, that's too much. We're going to start with greased anyway, because that's more straight up. So, let's see. I've got my nav. I got some displayed pigs. Where do we want to put that option? Put it up here? Bet. I haven't even looked at that component yet. Let's see it. Nav wrapper, Hogwarts, twirl a pig.
Yeah, before the last D.
Should have added HR.
You need some buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, HR.
Is that a thing? What's HR?
Yeah, it adds like a line that has a.
Ta-da! Gorgeous. Oh, I like the way you think. Button. Oh man. Show all / show greased. Okay, cool. All right, so if we have this button here, and that's gonna impact what we're looking at, but we also need that to impact which pigs we show, it's gonna need to go up to here. Sure is. Only greased is gonna start as false. That's what I'm gonna call it. That makes sense to me. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is just like actually set this to true and make sure that I can show only the greased ones versus all. How do I do that?
You filter the display pigs.
I did.
Well, that's.
Is that what you're gonna say? You have a question?
No. Yeah.
Filter and display. Displayed pigs. Duh. Filter. I heard a wait. Does anybody remember the issue that we saw with this the other day?
You have to give it a sign of variable.
So filter itself returns a new array. It does not modify the one that you're filtering.
So we can call it greasy pigs.
Can you do .9?
Or you could still use it like that.
And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna say this dot state dot only greased. So only in the case where it's greased, I wanna do this behavior. So I can start off just being like, cool, make every single hog card. Then, if I'm only looking at the greased one, reset this to be only the ones where pig.greased is true. And that way, I don't gotta change anything here.
That's where we got stuck.
Now, if you had done like greased, I guess I can actually take this. Say you'd done greased pigs is this, how would you change this?
So the last 5 minutes before the lecture, what I was thinking of is I thought I would do an if statement, and if grease pigs are true, then that variable would equal grease pigs array, and if it's false, that variable would equal all pigs array. And then I would back all the, like, I would have the same variable. But your way of course is much better.
So instead of putting it into a variable, like if there's basically like always 2 options of do I render this or do I render that, think ternary.
Yeah,
So
we used some ternaries, yeah.
So we know what the if case is. The if case is this only greased. When only greased is true, I want to see greased pigs. Otherwise,
We put a colon.
thank you. I want to see greased pigs. Otherwise, I want to see displayed pigs. Either of those works.
Right in the nav.
So right now, the nav behavior does not work.
Right in the body.
I've only created a button, but I have no clicking functionality. To test this conditional rendering, I'm going to have to manually change state up here. So right now, if I check this and we wrote this right, I should only see the greased pigs. I should see fewer pigs. Did I label that correctly? Greased?
It doesn't have to be something equal something, like. Oh,
Pigs that, big pigs that
You have to
Oh, is that what
return,
it-
you have to return pig.
No, that's where we go.
No.
Because it would, yeah.
Oh, no, you know what this is? Guys, displayed pigs isn't a pig object anymore. Like each thing in it isn't a pig object. Each thing is a pig card. So we gotta do this to this.state.hogs and then .map all of this. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to filter an object for a key when the thing that was being checked was a hog card. Which is
So what if we,
no
what
good.
if we do all of our figuring out which of the pigs to include first, and then.
And then do the map.
And then we do the map.
I like that. Let's clean this up together. Okay. So we'll map later.
So displayed pigs can just go below, you just go right above the right.
Yeah, so if we set a filter to change.
So we'll do, what are you saying? This.state.hogs filter pigs.greased.
Well, like, we only need to do the map, if you pull the ternary out of the return
Uh-huh.
and just leave that as displayed pigs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then-
and bring back the
Yeah.
statement
Uh,
that,
What are we thinking?
sorry, so.
I know, I like this. I like that we're doing this together.
before I said
Blind driver.
the grease pigs, you had an if statement that if, I forgot what it was, true, then the displayed pigs was, yeah.
Oh, but you're gonna wanna have a set of selectors, right?
For the
For the other
sorting later?
So you might
Yeah.
wanna have just a state variable that says which selector is currently selected.
But I do want to be able to do,
Multiple,
I want to be able to do only greased and name sort.
well, then you have an array.
What?
And you can pop it when it's not selected anymore. All of the filters are active.
I could.
You gotta
Popping that off of an array sounds like extra work. Because array traversal, like if you add more options and you have to traverse it, and then it becomes what's the length of the array versus individual things. I don't know, but for Big O, if this were to grow, I'm not going to go that way. And also, I want to do one thing at a time. So it's like not overwhelm folks that did not get here. Okay, so one thing at a time. Displayed pigs. I'm going to make this a copy of hogs from jump. So let's do if this.state.only greased, displayed pigs is going to be, I'm going to change this to displayed pigs again, dot filter, then we'll filter, and then regardless
Oh, sorry, you've displayed pigs, you displayed the bird.
Oh, thank you. Look at you.
Okay.
Been working with James. Yeah, I guess.
So then that's gotta be displayed pigs also.
Steve, the detail.
I don't like this is resetting this so many times.
Well,
So I'm gonna say like,
pig list.
cool. Pig list, pig list, pig list. Let displayed pigs. And then finally, like this is, or maybe like pig component list. I don't know. Something that like makes sense. Pig component list. Bam. Yes?
Can you just summarize what you just did in 5 seconds?
5 seconds is hard, so it'll be like
No,
more like
I meant-
15.
I meant you just did
I
it in
got
5
you.
seconds.
Oh.
What you just did, which took 5 seconds.
Yes.
In 30 seconds.
You get 6 times the amount.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense because you gotta, speak words. So first thing I did was I was just like, cool, let me make a copy of what's currently in state so I can play with it however I want to and not be worried. And then only if we're only looking at the greased pigs, I'm going to reset that copy to be a filtered version of it. Then once I have that version, I'm gonna map over and make a new array that holds the hog cards for each of those hog objects.
You're gonna hold, for the last one, pig component list equals.
Is going to be a new array
Okay.
of
So
hog
you're
cards.
recording it.
So when only grease turns to false, it's gonna go, it'll skip everything under render before for big component list.
Yeah,
When this is false, it skips this.
right. Very good.
Right, okay.
Or when this state to only greased is false,
Okay.
it skips the filter.
That's pretty clever.
It's
Requires
nice
some
that the return
cleverness.
function just still is like 2 lines of straight lines. That's so nice.
Right. Don't gotta do nothing. Okay, so only greased is true, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pigs. If I make only greased false,
You can click on it.
many more. Greased. All of you are greased still?
That's kinda
Not
tricky
greased,
because-
there we go.
Wait, do you need to filter it if it's greased or not, or just greased? Is that the rule?
The filter that I want to implement is showing only greased or showing all.
Okay, so not ungreased.
Not like only show one versus.
No, I was just curious if that was another one.
Filter the hogs that are greased. Yeah, I read that as show me all of them or show me just the ones that are greased. You could have read it the other way, like if you implemented it to show all or the ungreased ones,
But
you
then
would still
wouldn't
be.
able to show all the pigs. It would.
No. What I'm saying is all of the pigs or ungreased. Like we did all of the pigs or just greased. So if you did all of the pigs or ungreased, you'd be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you grease pigs?
No, I didn't do it.
To make them shiny, to make them win more. Oh, or that?
Yeah, it's a game.
James and I looked it up because we didn't know what it meant, and it was like
Oh.
horrifying.
I don't actually want to know more information about that. Please don't tell me.
No.
Okay, wait. Now we actually need to make the button work, friends.
So fun.
Yeah.
Wait, that's messed up and eating the business.
I didn't see.
Okay. There's going to be some on-click here. What does that on-click actually need to do?
Change the state.
Change the state here,
Yeah.
which means it needs to be defined. That callback needs to be defined here.
Yeah.
Toggle greased.
This does state. This on set state.
Nice. Only greased. Bang.
Nice.
I did this one faster because we just did one of these for the info. And then we have it defined here. How do I get it to hog card? As props. Great. So that's this guy here. I'm gonna move you down here.
So now we need to do everything inside the map statement.
Well, where are you defining your hog card?
Yeah, it's just we did it in the,
Inside of the render.
it's, yeah.
So if your map is inside of the render, cool. But like if that method needs to get to a hog card as a prop, you have to pass it in wherever you are using hog card. So toggle greased equals this dot toggle greased. And now I can use this. And very often I will be like, copy that, because I know that's exactly what I called it. And in here. No, that didn't need to go to hog card. Guys, needs to go to nav bar. Why you let me say such foolish things? Why you do that? I was on such a... Stop my roll. My roll is going the wrong direction. All right, so now that I have it, I'm gonna copy paste so I know it's the exact prop name, go into nav, and
Wait, but you're.
I have to pass in props because this is a functional component.
So you just do props dot toggle card or whatever. Toggle pigs.
Toggle greased. Money.
You gotta catch.
It's weird.
I got money. I got money. Ayy.
The best is definitely Piggy Small.
Who's not small at
I
all.
like sobriety.
Sobriety.
I didn't actually look at this.
His name is.
Sobriety. Oh, that is pretty good actually. Okay, now the other thing that I hate though is that the button says both.
Yes, I was just gonna say.
Yes. So now we should conditionally render that. Like I don't want this to show both regardless. I want it to show based upon yes, based on a ternary. But what information do we need here in order to be able to do that?
We need the state, so that's why going to.
We need the state.
That functional component into class.
But don't we already have the state of whether or not we're looking at grease someplace? We do. So we only want it to live in that one place. We don't want to have a copy of it in nav and a copy of it in app because then you have to make sure they're both the same all of the time. Versus if app already knows about it, pass it down. Same way we pass the callback.
So you can pass state as a prop.
Yep. You can take any value that's inside of state and pass it right down. I mean, that's essentially what we're doing for the hog cards is we're taking an object inside of state and passing it down to each hog card. Now we're just doing it for a single value. So now I have this greased prop in nav, and I can use that to, bam, curly bracket, props dot greased, question mark, when we are looking at greased, show all, when we're not looking at greased, give the option to show greased. Show greased, show all.
Maybe we should set a standard width so it doesn't. I'm just saying that kind of.
Yes, we should. That's called tech debt, do it at the end. Are you that like CSS person in the room that's like, but it looks funny?
He's just general OCD.
Yeah, I'm just awful with it.
I don't believe that in the slightest. Okay, cool.
No, he's crazy.
You're so rude. Okay, so now we've got two more things. We've got to be able to, where is it? Sort on name or weight. How did folks implement this? I have a way that I want to implement it because I think it's the easiest and it's the way I would do it if I was in a time crunch. Go.
Basically where we're setting displayed, there's a click handler, or there's a select.
You did a select drop down.
There's a select drop down.
Yes! That is the way I would do it too.
That
Sorry,
sets a
Scarlett,
value
excited.
that's stored on app state.
We make 3 buttons.
You can also make 3 buttons. The reason I did it this way is that I could be like, you can only choose one. Like you can have no sort, you can sort by name, or you can sort by weight. You got options.
Yes.
Like if you got options, think drop down, think select.
It reminds me of allergens.
Allergen.
It's a Rails
It's
lab.
a mod 2 thing where we did the same thing where we only give them options to drop down.
Yikes.
First time we implemented a drop down.
Yeah.
Bam.
And it's like, yeah.
Also, like on a regular basis, I'm like, how do these work again? With the select, and I will fully like come in here and grab some stuff. Hella lazy. And the React docs are beautiful.
Or even for like the JS.
Okay, so let's see, and then these go inward more, and the label's gonna be choose sort Let's see, it's gonna need some value, but this thing doesn't have a state. So I'm gonna say placeholder. We don't have that yet either. So I'm gonna give it an empty thing. And I only want 3 values. I've decided. No sort, name, and weight. But I'm gonna make these lowercase because I'm just being particular.
How is it going to be named A to Z? Or
I'm just gonna let us decide that. That's gonna be another piece of tech debt. Y'all in the tech debt. This is great. Tech debt. Specify A to Z or vice versa, and high to low. All the options. We're not giving people options at this point. You're a dev. Don't be that generous. No, be that generous sometimes, not in a time crunch. Okay, so we actually need to have this someplace on state again, and if we had only greased on here, probably want the sort the same place. So let's see. So sort, no sort, cool. And then this is where some things are gonna have to happen here, right? Like we already did the filter. Now we've got some other cases. Oh, lordy Lou.
Yeah, that's big list. Oh yeah, we had to write some compare functions.
A, comma, B.
Yeah,
Like, is this already got it?
I think this is the one we got. It's like a little further down.
Thanks, respect, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Oh, that one's sorting numbers.
Yeah, you
though.
gotta go a little further because you gotta pass it in. You gotta pass it in like what
The string for the name.
like what the key is that you want to sort of.
There, it's that one. It's that one. That
Oh, this one. Well, that one's for name, but it's not generalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still gonna go with this one. And again, like the internet is fair game. I would just then be like, understand this so you can write it yourself. Eventually. So now we have a compare. Sweet. This dot state dot sort. So then pig list. Does sort
We did it?
modify the original one?
Yeah.
Yeah? Compare?
Yeah.
Can I just pass in compare like this?
Yeah, but you gotta go up and change edit the function because it's looking for bands.
Yeah, and you do like name A, name B, A dot, name.
Can you please go over that again, check?
This compare function?
Yeah.
Totally.
There's also band A and B in it.
I'm gonna change these back to A and B for now. Cause time. Oh wait, no. There's an efficient way to do this. Name A. And yes, we can come back to it later. Okay. So I can just pass and compare like this?
Yeah.
Okay. So how about to test this out, we change the sort to name to begin with and see if it does it.
Gustus Sloop or whatever.
Guess it's glue. Guess
I think it was
Sloop would be better.
Yeah, they just ripped his name. No fun.
Yep.
Ayo, that's already sorted. Duh. Cool, 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 cool.
Here comes trouble.
All of the like blurred faces actually kind of freak me out.
Yeah, really.
Okay, as long as it's not just me. Okay, so we've got this one, and we also need if this dot state dot sort equals weight. Oh, am I gonna need 2 different compares?
Yeah. There's on that same website, if you go further, there's like a dynamic compare that will handle
And the key.
strings and numbers.
Like you could pass it in a key.
Oh, I suppose I could also write this more dynamically to like pass in the 2 things instead
If you got a
of.
first term to compare that's key, and then you make it A square bracket key and B square bracket key. I don't know if it needs to be first or last. I think it has to be first though.
Did you do it as key in here?
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, that's a lot to do right now, though. Nope. Because again, I'm doing this very much as like, if I were doing this as a code challenge, compare name, bam. Compare weight. I respect that.
So I freaked out because we had like two functions that looked almost exactly the same.
Again, like it's not awesome code quality, but the first time through, like don't start optimizing in the beginning of the code challenge. Just get it to work. Okay, so then we have pig list compare weight, and we can go back over those compare functions at the end. Okay, so we go back here. This is still by name. Let's check by weight and make sure that that's working. So I'm gonna save this, update that state, check our site.
You don't need the true case because it's integers.
Just respect. Bam, bam. Okay, so now we're just checking by the weight. 0.7, 0.16, 0.17, 0.19. Looking pretty good. 2.2. Okay, so now if I hard code my state, I can see the conditional rendering. And now we've actually got to get the behavior in. So same thing as toggle greased. If this is what I need to update, I've got to define that method here. And will this method need to take an argument?
Yes.
I'm gonna say sort type. Set state sort to sort type. Because this is gonna have to be some string that we pass in from each of those selects. It's like, what's its value? And then that needs to go down to navbar just like toggle grease did. What did I say? Change select? Change sort. This dot change sort. So now we have a new prop in navbar. And then in navbar, we can handle its on change now. This will take an E. Props.change sort. E.target.value. So whenever we select one of these options, it'll grab this string and pass it into our change sort method. We still have this placeholder here. We should deal with that.
Selection options.
Selection options? Cool.
Oh. Oh, we don't display it anymore.
We don't display it anywhere, but for this to be a controlled form, the select needs to be tied to something in state, someplace, that holds the current value, which is back up here. So I've got to pass this back down as well into navbar.
Can you say that again, please?
Mm-hmm. So in order for any of these forms to be controlled, like input has to have a value prop that's connected to someplace in state where that's being controlled. Same thing for select. There's got to be someplace in state that's holding what have we selected. And it only counts as a controlled form when it's connected.
So this
So
is
you have a
another
placeholder as a value.
That's a hard-coded value though. Like where in state is actually what option I'm looking at. That's static. This needs to be dynamic and
Right,
related to the
change
place
that.
in state. So we got to change that. So we go back up to app and see this is the place in state where that's being controlled, where that's being managed. So I've got to pass this value down as prop into navbar. And then use this prop to control this form. Whippa. Okay, now I'm gonna start this back at no sort. And then a name, weight, and back.
So what's the equivalent when like you have like no sort. Because I remember in this normal HTML dropdown, you can have please select your option instead of automatically having an option.
It's like a placeholder option.
So does React have?
You could have just blank.
You can have
Yeah,
just
it's
a blank one.
Your no option or your no
Your no
sort
option is no
would
sort.
have
Okay.
Yeah.
Please select. You can just literally write it. Please select. Okay.
That is mine. I just chose to put no sort there instead of please select an option.
Heard.
Let's see. Other thing to check, and it's just like I wouldn't expect you guys to do this in the code challenge. Was like, do these both work together? So 1, 2. Oh, I guess they're all in the same order. Nice. Okay. Cool. If I then sort by weight, also still nice. All greasy. Oh no, you were already open. Sweet. And then it maintains that it was already open for the details, which is nice. This is only something that I expect you to like really go in and check through because it didn't specify, like make sure you can do them both at once. So this is something I'd be like, as a bonus, like go through and check. Yeah. There was this hide, but not delete. I think though, should we talk about the compare functions? Okay. I'm gonna look at the weight one just because it's slightly less verbose with this 2 uppercase. The 2 uppercasing is only doing that because an uppercase A and a lowercase a are different ASCII characters and have different values. So like upper and lowercase a will not be equal. That's what 2
One
uppercase.
of 27 or something.
Yeah, I don't remember their values in ASCII. I never pay attention, to be honest. So what sort does is it takes a method that takes 2 arguments that represent 2 things in your array, like one and the next. And it has to return, or it's supposed to return 1 or -1. So short version, and I'll be honest, half the time I do the comparators the wrong direction and like want to do ascending and end up doing descending and then just switch. But it looks at each of the 2 objects, grabs the key from each of them, and then says if name A is greater than name B, set that value to 1. Otherwise, if it's the opposite, it's less than, set that to -1 and return that 1 or -1 value. Then the vanilla JavaScript under the hood uses those values to basically say, should they stay in A-B order or should they flip? And it continues down your array that way. I'm gonna send you guys some videos on sorting algorithms because they're lots of fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you,
We have
which was
a
this
sort
in log n?
We had
Or big O?
Native JavaScript? I don't know. I want to say linear. It depends. It seems like the short version, but a lot are using merge sort. I don't know the big O of merge sort off the top of my head. What is it? Bubble sort, merge sort. This is a video I'll link for you guys that I love if I can find it. This guy. Have you guys seen this guy? So there's a couple of these videos where they have these like little robot dudes with an assortment of marbles that they're using different algorithms to actually move through the sort. So you can see like how many comparisons have they made, how much time has it taken, and it'll actually take you through different versions of that. This is like high level big O stuff that I think is fascinating, which like for instance, if like how close is the array to being already sorted impacts the efficiency of different algorithms. So like worst case scenario, the furthest thing from being sorted, there are some that perform better. If it's already very close, some of the ones that perform better in that first case actually perform terribly, and vice versa. They're fascinating. I'll link the videos for you guys.
What about the comparing dudes?
Yeah.
The who dudes?
Okay, the folk dancing?
Yes.
Oh, wait, has everybody seen this?
No.
Okay, at the end of lecture, I'm just gonna leave this on. Yeah, real talk. I'm just gonna leave it because they're also pretty funny. I really like my little I like this guy because does this one also show you? I don't remember. Does it show you the number of comparisons and whatnot?
No.
Oh yeah.
No, it takes forever, so you know it's better.
It's like just for funsies. That's real. Okay. So in terms of my goals for this, we essentially got to where I wanted to get because this is in the scheme of you being in a code challenge, you have 2 compare functions. You totally grabbed them from the internet, made some modifications. That's fine. So this is how I wanted to go through this, was if I were doing this on a code challenge, I had 90 minutes, how do I prioritize? This is it. The other thing that I'll say is that this covers pretty much everything but lifecycle methods that you will be expected to do in a code challenge for this. It has some forms, it has some drop downs, it has state and passing props, it has decisions about where do things need to live and get passed around. That is the extent of it, besides essentially one lifecycle method, which I'll be hint, hint, nudge, nudge. This is the one you'll use every time. That's the one that you really need to get familiar with. But otherwise, this covers it. I saw a hand.
Yeah, so is this the size of the code? Should this code challenge be smaller than this, or?
Approximately about the same size. Most of them give you a little bit more in terms of starter files, even if there's not much in them, but as suggestions. You're probably gonna need this component or that component. Whereas this one was app nav, create everything else from scratch. There's not even a file with effectively an empty component in there. Most of them have starter files to suggest to you what components you might need. Suggest. I thought I saw you copy the hand movement. I was like, yes, go.
Will there be labs completely?
Yes.
Are they going to be kind of practice labs?
Practice labs I'm going to release to you tomorrow because I still want you to look the life cycle ones. Yeah. So you'll get practice labs for over the weekend, and then early next week, I think it's on your calendars for Tuesday, but I'm going to move it to Monday. We'll do a practice in this room, 90 minutes. So you have a sense. So please practice over the weekend, because one thing that has happened in the past is folks think they're gonna practice over the weekend and then they don't. And then I give you this no, really, we're gonna do 90 minutes in this room and you haven't studied, so you're not ready. And it might hurt your feelings a little bit regardless, but it'll definitely hurt your feelings if you haven't practiced.
And it's better to have your feelings around Monday than on Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah. And my idea is also on Tuesday, because typically they'd have you do this one, the normal schedule has you guys do it on Tuesday, but I would rather it be Monday, give you all of Tuesday to figure out what you need to figure out, and then Wednesday you can crush.
Life cycle is going to be on the mod challenge?
Say again?
Life cycle is going to be on the mod challenge?
Yes, it's included.
Cool. Can you just please, I get the compare weight, you take into, looks like numbers, right?
So in this case, you're taking in 2 objects. Compare will take 2 of whatever's in the array.
Dot weight.
So I dot weight there.
Okay.
I think what we did was just do the sort, and I think we did return a minus a name dot or a dot name. A dot weight minus b dot weight, and that did the same thing.
Yeah.
No, we used a different one for the name, but I think for the weight we did name a dot weight.
That shouldn't be double. I want to check to see if both of these also work. This is when I would write this natively myself, but the likelihood that I do it the wrong direction at first is very high. Oh, you trying to put your screen up? You can put your screen up.
I'm just going to show you. So function AB return A weight minus B weight. And that.
Oh, because I suppose that, either it will be
A negative number is
a negative
false.
number or a higher number. Yeah, I like that. That does need a 2 lowercase, and that needs to be called. Okay, so you guys just straight up did A weight minus B dot weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks easier in our thing. I guess because that was the electrical, so.
Okay, so I've now altered our name and weight sort. So name is just doing it in this one-liner with a ternary. So comparing the two lowercase versions of the names, -1 or 1, and the weight one, just doing the mathematics because it's going to be some number, positive or negative. That's cute. That's very cute. Oh, right direction. So we, yay!
Because you were in the middle of explaining the other one and then you introduced it.
touche. So anonymous function version of doing this, a sort function is always going to take 2 arguments, 2 things from your array, and that array can hold anything, number, strings, whatnot, what have you. In our case, it's objects, so I'm going to dot off of A and B. But what it needs to do is it needs to do some comparison and then return, regardless, some number. If it's positive, is it that A stays first? I believe if it's positive, then A stays first and B remains second, and then the sort function will compare B and C, like it'll move down. If it's negative, it switches them, keeps the second one, and keeps moving down all the way through. And it does mutate the original array.
Yeah, I was wondering if.
Where do you define A and B?
This sort.
Basically,
Since I already did it up here, I don't care.
it doesn't really matter what, you're just comparing two things.
You're just comparing 2 things. So like, oftentimes what I'll end up doing is I will go the wrong direction. Like I'll make that a greater than,
Oh, actually, it did, you just returned it.
and then it goes reverse. It's really just about looking at 2 things, having some comparison, some greater than or less than, whether that's on a string or on the actual like number value, whatnot, what have you, and then returning either a positive or a negative number from there. It's standard to return either -1 or 1, but that was what they utilized for the weight one, is that it doesn't actually matter if it's -1 or 1, it just matters, is the return value positive or negative?
Cool. I guess I'm just a little fuzzy on where you get A and B from.
It's just how you have to define this function.
It doesn't have to be A and B.
It doesn't have to be A and B, it just has to be 2 parameters. So I could have done,
Pick one, pick 2.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, because you're calling it really on big list.
Yes.
That's right.
And it's just that you have to pass in a function to sort that takes 2 arguments that represent 2 pieces of your array, 2 items from that array.
Starting with the first 2.
It'll start with the first 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine it's a block parameter in Ruby and you have 2 values.
Right. Yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of these now. Optimized, shorter versions, deleting unnecessary code. Yes, so much yes. Okay. So we did all the required behavior. We did not do the bonuses. I would encourage you guys to do that. I will push up this code, so you can start from this code if you'd like to work on those bonuses at first. Because again, I'm not releasing practice labs until tomorrow.
But we already got new labs for life cycle.
Yeah.
Say again?
The life cycle labs have been good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Life cycle is magic. It's what makes sure, like right now, our app is real cute with the toilets and whatnot, but I gotta click on a flush button to see the toilets. I don't wanna do that. That's not real life. Life cycle will make it so that we can open our application and our data just snap appears as far as the user is concerned. We know what's happening underneath the hood, but the user doesn't. See, you were the user, you didn't know. Now you're gonna know. As of tomorrow, you will understand. Okay, so let me get some reflections before I release you. So either things that you're like slightly clear on or stuff that you're like, oh, I need to work on that. Either end, anywhere in the middle.
Control 4.
Need to work on?
Yeah, that last bit was, I wanted to do that.
Work on that. Cool. As it seems.
For me, it's just, I need to do the practice because everything makes sense. It's just evaluate your reps and as with almost our team
Get them reps. I'm fully like actually pushing this to your repo, and I'm proud of myself for my ridiculous reflections.
Creativity.
Creativity?
How to solve solutions, like in a shorter way.
Yeah, I was gonna say like spread out, utilizing spread operator.
Use your ES6 sugar. It really does make life easier, I promise. But that's another thing where like putting the reps, it'll feel more natural. You'll think of it quicker and it'll feel easier to format those things.
Turner is already, they don't have medicine anymore.
Hmm?
I love them now. Turner is, yeah.
Ternaries are life, especially for React. If you don't like them, please practice more so you can like them, because it will just make life better. I'm okay with this being all of our reflections if that's it for the moment. Okie doke. So